Hello everyone. I am starting a new project and I thought I would take you along with me. What I'm making are some Reader's Digest ring bound journals, and I'm going to make 3. And so the way I'm going to work this is that I'm going to work on these 2 as my trial prototypes, and then whatever I do in these 2 I'm going to do in the 3rd one, and I will show you how I've done it. So these 2 are exactly the same at the moment, and all I've done so far is I cut the covers off of the Reader's Digest notebooks. I took them, they were complete books, and I took the book block, I took the book block out of them, and then I also cut the spine off of them, and I've coated the insides with different Tim Holtz fabrics, and for each one I've made 4 of these kind of adapter things. They're essentially going to be, it's a pocket that I'm going to glue and possibly sew pages to. But this is a thick card. It's actually a time card that's reinforced with some, what do you call it? Scrapbooking paper and a grommet or an eyelet. So it's really sturdy and it can be moved around consistently without a problem. So there's this one. And then I've also done this one. That other one was the first one I did. This is the second one. And this has a different kind of Tim Holtz fabric in it. And on these, what I've done, instead of doing those big reinforcements, I've made smaller reinforcements because I realized, you know, this grommet is going to be really what takes the brunt of it. And I think the rest of it is going to be strong enough. So I think on this 3rd one, I made some little page reinforcers here, but I don't even think those are necessary, and I think they add extra bulk that make closing this grommet a little difficult. So on this 3rd one, I think what I'm going to do is just use the grommet. Okay, so what do I have here? I have my 2 covers, front and back covers. They're cut. And so what I do with the fabric is I've cut the fabric long enough so it can wrap around that ugly cut bit. And I should also show you from the first one that I made of this, which was my 300 subscriber giveaway, I made a template, and I'm using this for all of my holes. So we'll see that in use quite a bit. Okay, so the first step is after you get your Reader's Digest cover, these are really nice solid covers. Once you get it off your book, then you need to cover it with fabric. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. And this is also, this is actually probably my favorite Tim Holtz fabric. But the others are pretty also. So what I do is I'm going to start, let's see, I'm going to start at the leading edge. And I have actually not cut this. I've torn this fabric into the right size, about the right size, because I like that frayed edge, and I kind of want that frayed edge to show over the edge of the book cover. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to actually do something with the cover. If I'm going to add an image, I may. I've been in kind of a stage right now where I'm liking having the blank covers. Okay, I'm just finding that a little bit. I'm going to stop because that's gonna get away from me. So I'm just going to snip it there. And I'm just going to cover this now. So I'm going to add a little bit of Fabri-Tac just to the leading edge of this book. And I'm going to do this a bit at a time so that I make sure that it's on the way I want it to be. Because if you go all at once, it's much harder if you make a mistake. I learned that through experience. Okay, so that's the leading edge. Just smooth that out there. And then I'm going to check to make sure that it's going to cover the top and bottom edges. And I also want to see a little bit of that fray, the fringe, from beneath the cover, because I like the way that looks. And I have plenty of fabric to do it. The other nice thing about this is that if you stretch it, once you have it on, it kind of takes care of the need for ironing, which is always a good thing in my book because I hate ironing. I really don't do it. So this cover is in really good shape. The fabric is more of an aesthetic thing than it is repair. Okay, I just want to make sure I can see that fringe, the fringe on top. Okay. So I'm liking that. So that will be the cover, and I just need, I will wrap this, oops, this needs to be pulled down this way a little bit. The fabric tack does give you a little bit of time, a little leeway to make adjustments, which is very pleasant. So I'm just going to wrap that right around. I mean, I could tear it down just a little bit if I wanted to see that brown bit, but I don't need to. And it's actually, when you punch the holes, it's easier to have, maybe I do. See, I could probably manage to tear. Okay, so this is the nerve-wracking. If it's not cut exactly where you want it, you have to tear while it's already on there. And if you tear while it's already on there and you make a mistake, but I'm going to be daring. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little bit of a notch right there, and a little notch, and then I'm going to tear off a section. And that way, we will get to see both the fabric wrap around and the fringe of the edge, and we still see some of this brown here. So that's my plan. That's what I'm doing. Oops, there's some bits there that are bothering me. And I'll save that little bit of fabric because I'm sure I can find something to do with it. Ooh, sticking to me. Okay, we'll gloober there. All right, so I'm just gonna add some glue right to this edge and then down this line here. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that around. And there we go. And the reason I do that is because this really does do a nice job of covering up that rough edge where I cut the spine, the original spine off the Reader's Digest book. Okay, and I will let that sit to dry while I do the other side. Same thing. Okay, so this is the back cover, so it's got to go like this. And then this is the top, like that. So I'm going to do that edge first. And this is a little smushed there, but that's okay. All right, so again, I'm going to do my little bead of glue at the front and leading edge. I'm going to place my fabric, and I want to be able to see the fringe at the leading edge. In fact, I could probably pull a couple of these threads just to fray it a smidge more. So I really like that look. It says altered book to me. Okay, and then I'll just glue the rest. Oh God, I cannot get rid of these strings. Okay, here we go. Glue the rest of this one. So I really enjoyed doing that first one that I did for the giveaway, because really enjoy how interactive that type of journal is, and yet you can still include booklets, so you can just do some more traditional journaling. Now on the other one, the first one I did, I used the trifold time cards to make the folders that I sewed the booklet bits into. And I'm just smushing this glue around so I don't get any pools of glue. But I'm out of those. I don't have any more of those trifold time cards. And I don't really want to spend any money. So I am going to use scrapbooking paper, I think. And I'll cut it down to size, and I'll just make those folders out of, Lord knows I have enough scrapbooking paper. Uh-oh. I would like that fringe to show along this. Oops, too late. I wasn't paying attention. You see, this one's a little bit longer than this one, but that's okay. It still covers it, just not as fringy. That's okay. All right, and this one, I think I'll leave that length. So again, I'm going to put some glue right along the edge here. And down the back side. There we go. And that should dry fairly quickly because it's Fabri-Tac. It's silicone based glue. It smells a little bit. But it does rub off pretty easily. You can make little gluey balls. Okay, so I'm going to let that one dry while I go back to the other cover, which is now dry enough. And I'm going to use my template. Excuse my reach. So the top and the bottom are different, so I've labeled this top. And I just have to make sure that when I do it, I place it top to top. Otherwise, it gets wonky. So for this, I'm just going to make a mark right along the edge. I'm going to line up the top and the bottom edges with the top and the bottom edges, and I'm going to get this right up to the very edge of the spine, because I'd rather it be closer to the spine than further away, because if it's too far away, it's hard to turn once it's on the ring. And so now I'm going to grab my Crop-A-Dile Big Bite, and I'm going to put it on the 3/16 inch, and I'm going to cut those holes for the eyelets. There's one, and there is, can you see okay? And I'm just centering that dot in the center of the puncher. And it is it's a pretty thick amount of stuff to go through, but that Crop-A-Dile Big Bite, man, is that a good tool. Love that tool. And I've picked out 4 of these larger width eyelets. I wish the shaft on these were just a smidge longer, but it works. I just will poke those through, So that is the front cover. So I want to see the wide bit on the front. And then what I do is I turn it over and I'm going to trim down the little bit of fluff that didn't come off. And then what I do is I take my handy dandy, what is this called? Matte knife cutter? Matte cutter knife. I'm just going to kind of poke in any frayed bits. It's very thin, which is why I'm using this tool. It's a very thin blade, and I can poke that fabric down around in between the lip of the board and the grommet edge. And that way I'm sure to catch when the grommet edge curls around in the big bite. When I squish it, it catches everything. And that's why I say I wish this were just the shaft were just a little bit longer. Okay, so now I'm gonna move that to the end, and I have the grommet settings on B and I don't know. I can't read that. I'm sorry. It's not 2. It is in between 4 and 2, so it's either 1 or 3. Oh, it's 1. It's 1. Haha. All right, let me fix my light again so it's not so glary. It's 1. Those numbers are not made for my old eyes. Okay, and now I'm standing up, and I'm going to use my weight, my considerable weight, to squish it. And it comes out nicely squished. So do that one on the bottom one, and then I'll repeat it on the back cover. And then I'll show you how I made the that first set of holders, page holders, page, what are they? Page adapters. So my plan is to have the little section at the beginning that is a ephemera folder, and then I made a pocket out of an altered number 12 envelope. So I'm going to do another one of those, and I'm going to do some journal folder pages with little journals sewn in. And then I'm going to do at least one of them with a watercolor kit like I did in the giveaway. And then I might do something different as well. Something new and different, because I like new and different. Didn't stand up for that, but it still worked. See, they're nicely squished around the edge. Okay, so that is cover 1. Now we can work on cover 2, which is mostly dry. So I'm going to repeat that process. Oh wait, hold on. Got to do it on the side. Haha, did you guys see that? So this is the inside of the back cover. This is the top. I have to have my top on my top. So I'm going to make my mark on the inside of the back cover. Otherwise, I'm going to have an upside down cover, and that would be very sad and frustrating. So my mark there and a mark there. And I'm using an indelible ink pen because I'm just going to cut that little bit right on out. Get rid of her. Okay, so back to 3/6 inch cutter. Here's one hole, and here's the second hole. Okay. And now I'm going to trim off that little bit there and that little bit there. The fabric doesn't always work perfectly. It still feels a little wet from the glue. And even though I cut from the inside, I'm going to grommet from the outside because I want to be able to, you want to have the nice looking finished side on the outside of your book, is my thought. Okay, so now I'm just going to, oh, those are nice. Those don't have any nasty edges that I have to tuck in. So I can squish away. So back comes this. I'm going to push that to the edge. And I'm just going to squish. Squish one. Squish two. Et voila, beautifully edged grommets. Okay, so front cover and back cover, nicely aligned. And I'll get, so these I ordered from Amazon. They are 2-inch silver book rings. There are 50 of them, which is another reason I need to keep going on this type of journal, which is actually really very fun to make. I have to admit, at first I was skeptical about the ring bound journals. Maybe because they reminded me too much of those denim notebooks that were always causing me so much grief when I was a teenager. But they're actually quite fun to make. See, and that will be our, let's see what I can do about that one. That will be our covers. Okay, so now let me show you how I made those adapters. So I have a ton of these. Nope. These. Nope. Where did I put them? These? Nope, not those. Hold on. Oh, here we go. These. And I coffee dyed them, and I mean, I ordered a bunch of, maybe I got them from Staples actually, and I have like a pack that thick. And I have trimmed down the bottom bit so that it fits within the cover, so that it fits within my template. And I'm going to use the template to cut the holes, but before I cut the holes, I want to stamp on them because I'm going to fold them so that all of these lines are on the inside. Because I'm really just using this because it's a nice source of nice thick card. And what I have on this block, this is the script stamp from the Tim Holtz bug set, stamp set, I forget, Entomology. And I have a nice big pad of Ranger archival ink in sepia. So what I'm doing 2 at a time because I want this to be, I don't want this to be like a perfectly legible, you know, you can read it stamp. It's just to cover up the bareness, the nakedness of that manila color. So I'm going to go to the top here. Oops. I think I overlapped it a little bit. That's okay. Doesn't matter, as Rachel would say. And then I'll do some secondary stamping before I re-ink it. Because as I said, I don't really want it to be perfectly legible. But then I will do a better one across there. And I'm just doing this. I was just doing this on my lap. I have a habit of doing things in my lap because my desk is so tight. Okay, and now I will do that one like that, and I'll do that, and I'll do that, and then I will do this. There we go. I'm happy with that. And I really am just trying to create pattern. Just ink that off. Okay. So the next thing I did was I folded these in half, and I tried doing the scoring thing, and it just was more time consuming than it needed to be. So I'm just eyeballing in half, and it's close enough. So cut those in half, or fold those in half. Nice edge with the bone folder. And then I am rounding the edges, and I'm using my Crop-A-Dile corner chomper, and I'm doing the 1/2 inch. Because the other thing corner rounding does, I find, is it fools your eye, and if you haven't folded things perfectly in line or neatly, it tricks your eye into thinking you have. And I am inking. The thing is, because you don't see a right angle, when you don't see a right angle, your brain, when you have a right angle, your brain expects a certain perfection, and when you don't have that, your point of reference is lost. So your brain is more forgiving on what you're seeing. And it doesn't really matter that they're not perfectly aligned, because they're going to be on either side of a page. So you won't ever see those two edges against each other to compare their straightness, because a page of the book will be going in between there. Okay. If you don't like to watch people inking, you can fast forward. The next thing I'm going to do is do the grommets. And this is not a We Are Memory Keepers eyelet thing. It has a front and a back. And I will show you why I'm decided to use these. They've been sitting in my stash for a really long time. Because I ordered them, I think mistakenly, early on. And then I was intimidated when I saw they came with the backing. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. But then I just said, oh, I'll try it. I'll experiment. And lo and behold, I like them. Okay, so let me do my template first. Decide which is the front. I guess those are the fronts. See, now I have to stick with the fronts and the tops, because I am committing. Where's my? So this is a jumbo flat pen that I made, and I like these inserts because they're very skinny and they do the holes nicely. So there's one, and then this one, gonna line up, goes like this. Go. Okay, so now I have to cut them, and I have been cutting these holes not with the Crop-A-Dile, but instead with my Tangled Up. This doesn't have a name. It's just an eyelet punch or a hole punch. And it kind of looks like the We Are Memory Keepers color, but I don't know if it is. It doesn't have a name on it anywhere. Just says China. So it's just a hole punch, but this hole that it makes is slightly bigger. I think it's a full 1/4 inch hole versus the 3/8 inch hole that the We Are Memory Keeper, no, that the Crop-A-Dile Big Bite makes. So I'm doing a full 1/4 inch hole because these are full 1/4 inch eyelets. And they're kind of a short shaft. I'll show you. So they have kind of a short shaft, but they're wide, and I find that they move around those rings more easily than say these are all We Are Memory Keepers. So you can see the difference there between the two. The internal diameter is very different. So these slide around much more easily, which is why I decided to play with them and made them work. So, okay, which was my top? This had to have been my, oh dear. Oh! Do we think that doesn't look like the top? Do we think that's, so yeah. So that's the top, so this is the front. So it's gonna go in this direction. And then this one you have to take a back. And this back has like a concave side and a slightly more convex side. And I've been putting it concave side up. I don't know if that's right or not, but I think it is because it allows the edge of the other part to curl around it. So I think that's correct. And I think it's going to work much better without any other additional bulk. So where's my Big Bite? All right, so, so I remember now. So I have to put the little second bit onto I've been putting that onto the Crop-A-Dile, and then I don't want that to go that way. And then I've been putting this with the thing in it down onto it. And then I've been squishing it. That didn't squish very well. Maybe it did. Okay. So then, and I do this with the regular We Are Memory Keepers one as well. I always take my needle nose pliers for jewelry making and give it an extra squish. But I like that because it curls around the edge. You have a nice shaft in there, in that. Here. Does that help? It's very harsh light. But it seems to work pretty well. And I like having that extra little bit of metal there. So I'm going to put that on there. Maybe I'll try doing it the other way around off the bat. So upside down, see if that works. Like that. And I'll put that on the thing and then I'll squish from here. Ooh, I just felt it squish, I think. Oh yeah, so maybe that did curl over that lip a little bit better. So I'll just give it a little extra squish so it's not so proud. Okay. And there is one thingy. Okay, so now let me squish these two, and we'll call it good for today. And then tomorrow, hopefully, let's see, tomorrow's Friday. Oh, I really want to do Marguerite Miller's challenge tomorrow. But hopefully I'll have some time to work on this as well. And, oh, I should, hold on. I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. Is this the right way around? No. I almost committed a boo-boo. So it's got to be this way around. Yeah, so for these ring-bound journals, having a template is required. It'll come out all wonky without a template. Unless, of course, everything is perfectly distanced. I mean, I suppose you could figure that out. But I would much rather use a template than a ruler. Okay, I'm going to get another one of these little things out. Okay. So there's that. And I think it worked better with the shaft or shank side up. You can kind of feel it give underneath you. Oh, drat, that did not work. Let's try that again. Ooh. Lost it. Okay, so that will fit back. Let me see if I can give that another squish. And then I'm going to squish it the other way, just in case. That's better. I can't decide which way is a better squish. And then, right, well, so that's on there now. And then I'll finish it off with a little bit of a manual squish. And another one here. Ooh, I can feel that squishing. Excellent. Okay. So that is our first step in making our ring-bound journal. So I'll just go ahead. You don't need to watch me do the other two. I'm going to do 4. I did 4 on the other 2, so I'll do 2 more of those on here. So that's how I did them. And see how they slide right on there. And look, they really do slide nicely along those rings. Even though the rings are wonky, they have a little more play. All right, so that is going to be the beginning of my ring-bound journal series. I hope you're all well and staying well, and I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.